Hi. Um, just to let you know if you guys are still there, you can, if you find we have a little group on Messenger. Um, but if you haven't been in that group before, it might be easier just to um, talk. What are you up as, Ray? Or
No,
Dallas?
Dallas.
Go. You can call Dallas on Messenger, and we'll bring you up to chat. And then next time we'll get you in on the group chat. And I will begin talking about what are you up to?
Looking for my book that I had in my hand. And it's disappeared now.
That you write notes in?
Yeah.
Because you have them all there.
I did.
Maybe.
Just have to write something down.
All right. So I'll let you get that written down, and I'll.
Yeah.
Sure. Begin. Kind of move this a little bit again, so we're both in it. Oops. Down here so I fit. Hi. It was different. I have to get back to kind of setting this up in sort of a structure, but I talked us through the middle pillar. That's the middle pillar exercise, and then that's the thinking of these temperance cards that show the path and the light in the distance and an angel. So looks like a perfect image to begin a meditation, and I did get a sense of this other being kind of guiding me along. And was able to visualize this path, and it was pretty bright where I was in this at first in this meditation, and it was almost like the yellow brick road. It wasn't that big though, it was like a footpath, and it's not that easy to relate because it was not specifically about scenes and symbols so much. It was more a feeling of this idea that real spiritual kind of progress, that there's resistance to spiritual progress and to achieving this idea of coming from the heart, the higher mind, the higher emotion, the higher vibration in the ego. The ego, it means the ego giving up its roles. It means the ego not being that continually active. The ego not being the kind of control. And of course, it's easy. It's an old sort of spiritual class / esoteric occult mystical axiom or kind of saying that the ego makes a good servant and a poor master. But it's one thing to kind of understand that in in a rational way. There's a bit of irony there. I need to understand this with my mind, that my mind is not supposed to be in control. It's a little bit of a catch-22 there, kind of a trap, um, which leads us to often think that we are moving beyond our ego when maybe we're not so much. And because the idea of getting here with the symbology of the tent, the strength of the tent being in its tension, that, and this whole kind of ideas about refinement of the personality, the higher self, the alchemist, blending the opposites within the self, is that in this idea of strength through tension, the tension of the bow brings it its power to launch the arrow, is that it means a kind of falling away of these, if the structure is just a tent, if the structure is just the tension, right now it calls to mind this, what we learn in modern science, that physical reality is not that physical. Physical reality is mostly ultra tiny particles, maybe in vibration, in movement, that even in the body, in the table, in the chair, that there's not a heck of a lot of material. It's about vibration. The idea in science that by observing something, you're giving it properties. By observing the properties, that the idea that our consciousness is creating manifestation. Consciousness is manifestation is consciousness, kind of in action. The whole idea of action, you have to get down to 3D second time before anything can happen, basically. Yes, from a higher perspective, there is no time. But you know what? There's flow and ebbs and flow and changeability, but there's not this happened until we get into 3D stuck in time, a lower vibration. So it's tricky to kind of give up on some of that lower vibration stuff that around, we tend to identify with. I am the doctor, I'm the lawyer, I'm the this, I'm the that, I do this, I have done this most of my life and I have these skills. I am a dad, I am a partner, I am this, I am that. That these are labels that are at the same time kind of holding us back from participating in this higher flow of consciousness. That when you get into that kind of higher flow of consciousness, those things that we are so identified with tend to drop away. I think I got at this idea that this process is very much like Zen, like Buddhist Zen. And in Zen, it's all about finding the moment, it's about experiencing things without those labels, those attachments, those preconceptions, to experience the fullness of the moment, the fullness of the experience. I got a strong connection in this to nature. It's human beings that mark time into segments, into days and minutes and seconds and events that happen. In nature, it's not so much. Of course, it's the tides, it's the ebb and the flow, and cycles. Nature is all about cycles, and cycles of life and death, and cycles of growth, and cycles of you know, all those cycles. But those cycles are not don't have much to do with counting. I guess is maybe how to put it. They exist in a larger kind of flow, and I'm not sure where to go with this. There was a sense of working on experiencing that idea of these labels of self-identity that are not just about our connection to our society, our culture. They're also about our habits of thinking, our habits of behavior, that to experience this connection, the whole idea here, the connection to the heart chakra, the connection where we begin to be connected to our HGA, or higher self. When we begin to experience that, it's not that we are no longer ourselves. It's not that we are no longer a parent, a social worker, a this, a that, a partner, an artist that does this, a da-da-di-da. It's not that we are no longer that. It's just that from that higher self perspective, who potentially is engaged in, 100 other incarnations, these sort of labels and specifics upon which we are really kind of embedded in our worldly personality, kind of aren't that important.
Mm-hmm.
Every little bit is cherished, every little bit is appreciated. So cherish and appreciate and move on. In consciousness and in life, I think it's in the reading material, which we sort of covered sketchily. It's on about this, the trials and tribulations, the almost the key word came in of anger, of kind of, well, I also got this idea that higher self, that inner guidance is really there all the time, but we don't tend to ask for spiritual help enough. Maybe certainly I don't. Could probably do that more. Ask for the guidance. The guidance is there. Sometimes we tend to kind of relish in our we have attachments to the lower planes. We have attachments to our habits. We have self-identities, ego identities wrapped, intertwined with behaviors and attitudes and beliefs. And when we really get into this path in particular of traveling towards, of working towards, of creating towards, of developing, of towards a kind of higher perspective and higher awareness, that not all that stuff's going to come along. Not all that stuff's going to come along. Could you say something? Because I'm running out of steam here.
I was just waiting for you to be done.
I'm done.
I think you're right. I think we don't reach up enough, and that help is available from above or around or wherever in the other worlds.
Mm-hmm. Beyond the veil.
But we don't reach out for it because a lot of it is feelings of not deserving. A lot of it is feelings of earthly, being too grounded in not believing, truly believing that there's help available. Being too attached, like you said, to this earthly plane. And yeah, I think so. I had an experience. I don't know, sorry. I had an experience with a very large angel. The beginning of the meditation was very jumbled, sort of like I was falling. But images were, I kept trying to remember the images of the card, and the image for Samak. Thank you, Norman, for being cuckoo. And remembering that that was the peg, and that's, you know, like, and I was thinking, okay, if I remain there, then I have something to hold on to. And it was quite dark, and then there was just this bright light, and there I was sitting at the foot of this large angel, and it was not a he or a she, but it was pouring from one jug to the other, and I was sitting like at the bottom in this, I don't know if I was in the pool or if I was on top of the water or if I was sitting on a rock in the water, but it was huge, and it was pouring this, and as it was mixing, droplets were falling down, and they were falling on me, and they were falling in the water, and as they would hit the water, they were turning into little lotus blossoms, and then like little spirals of like steam.
Energy. Steam.
Like well, yeah, but it's sort of like energy, but like steam, mist would sort of poof up from them. And I looked down at my hands, and there were symbols on them, on my hands. I had a lotus on one and a spiral on the other. And I was just told to like hold my hands out like this, and droplets were falling on my hands. And basically it was an experience of, I got the feeling that of this reaching out and reaching up was the way to progress, to healing, to future, to everything.
Everything.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm supposed to draw these on my hands. I got the feeling that I was
Henna.
supposed to have them.
Henna.
Supposed to have them on my hands. These images. So yeah. So that was sort of my experience. It was really interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. 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 So there you go.
All right.
So if anybody got anything different,
Whatever you got, doesn't matter. It's
whatever
right.
you got, let
right
us
for
know. And we're gonna just log on to Messenger right now and see if anybody's there. Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
See you next week or so.
Or Messenger
Soon.
Dallas.